functional radio body. Pretty exciting. I guess we better get this show on the road. It's amazing to realize that we are on the road, that we've been on the road, that we've been undergoing all of this already to such a great extent, more than we've been aware. Makes me feel less concerned about when are we going to get there.
There. Hi.
IPR West, this is IPR East. Come in, IPR West.
Testing. Good morning. It's still
so this is working, and I'm not producing some kind of strange sound problem. I can hear you. Well, I can check to see if it echoes, but I can put on earphones, but I really don't want to.
Oh, I can do the same if need be. I don't know if it's echoing from my end.
I'm going to find out.
Okay.
I'm going to find out. Let's see.
I'm up getting my coffee. Much needed. We are also joined by a cat. I don't know if he is sleeping though. Say hello, Utah. Say hi to Max.
Wow, I guess the sound is okay. Hey, kitty cat.
He's
I have not quite tracked when I accidentally produce sound phenomena and
right.
when I do not. And sometimes it just works just fine. I don't need to use earphones. Blessings. IPR East has been a lot more than I'm going to remember. But at least Pittsburgh, IPR Pittsburgh, at least Team Human, who's in New York, and a whole lot of other places. IPR East, I have a bunch of compiled resources, but I need more names that I can say on the radio stream. IPR West, your own self. How would you introduce your own self?
How would I introduce my own self?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I have to make words?
No.
I'm terrible at describing myself.
You don't have to make words, in fact.
I'm awful at marketing. It's not marketing, but IPR West. I don't have words. I don't have enough coffee in my body to.
This is my friend Amy, who definitely needs coffee at this moment, understandably, because of all of the things that Amy does and keeps track of and is aware of and deals with and bears up under every day.
I did have a wonderful
This is
What?
over here.
I see that. I was wondering.
I'm looking at you now, and I'm looking at the webcam now.
Well, and what's difficult for me, so my camera, I'm able to change the settings in Zoom and other applications, but on a Mac, there's no way to just access the camera settings. So this looks like it's over my right shoulder to you. It's actually over my left shoulder. So everything's flipped.
This is my, uh-oh. Okay, wait, let's see. This is my right, and this is my left.
That looks right. So you have your camera set up, but I can't change the settings on this program. I just looked to see if I could flip it so it looks like I'm seeing what's actually behind me.
Technology.
This is not over here. It's technically over. Well, wait a minute. So it's over here. I'm very confused.
Yeah, it's totally okay. IPR West also frequently appearing as part of IPR West is our friend Theo Harrison. Excuse me.
Mm.
I'm looking at a video. The camera's here. My brain is scrambled and I got his name wrong. I apologize. Also appearing as part of IPR West frequently is our friend Theo Henderson, who is, my brain is shorting out a lot because of all of the scrambling, but supporting Theo Henderson can happen by navigating to patreon.com/we the unhoused. And We the Unhoused is on YouTube, and it's on Anchor FM, and it's on SoundCloud. So there are places to search for it.
And he is on Twitter. We the Unhoused is on Twitter. That's where I'm following him.
Yes, his handle has a number in it, but if you search for We the Unhoused,
Yes.
there's something really brewing around all of this. I think that's the hugest understatement of ever. I am seeing people making articles about Theo and publishing things and saying, everyone come and support this project. It's important. And that's really good. That's really, really good. Oh, what happened? Did I hit a button?
No, I
Or
did.
did you hit a button?
I hit a button. I did a swipe on my computer on the browser. If I swipe in the page, I end up going to the last page. If I swipe up here, which is what I was trying to do, I can go to Twitter and go find Theo. And I was going to come and drop that link in the chat.
I retweeted something. No, what I retweeted, I think, was that article. There was an article about his efforts, and it referred to another article about his efforts in a different place. And the more of those that happen, the better for me.
Yeah, he's great. I haven't had a chance to listen to the
thank
podcast.
you.
Huh?
You put the link in here.
For his Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, his Twitter account is twitter.com/TheoHen, TheoHen 95302259. My eyes work. Those characters are small.
They are.
We the Unhoused.
It comes up as We the Unhoused, so you can just search for that on Twitter as well.
Yeah. When I was going through those episodes, wow, I don't know how to talk about this. I don't know how to talk about all of the different ways in which I have felt weirdly detached from the reality of stuff that is really, really going on, because it's not the way people usually talk about that. It's something like, we knew it was really going on before and had already been through so much. And now a lot more people are becoming aware that it's going on in a way that there's media representation about, not ours, but other places, mainstream things. And that's producing a whole completely different experience of what, like, I guess people would talk about it as dissociativeness or something like that. This stuff is going on around us, and how real is this? How real is all of this experience? It's getting
Are you referring to houselessness, or are you referring to the whole pandemic reality?
Sorry, what I'm referring to specifically, I brought up that context so that I could mention that while I was going through the episodes of We the Unhoused, and I'm going through physical extremity most of every day now. Still, I'm just now prioritizing it was my radio voice, but we have Intuitive Public TV now. So whatever we are, whatever this
is what we are.
So I'm prioritizing being able to communicate with you and others in these ways, but it's very physically extreme for me what is going down in our neighborhoods. And I was listening to episodes of Theo's podcast, never having heard before, I don't know, such an appropriate way to go about telling the truth and sharing with others. And the subject material is really real and intense, and it's happening now. But the way that his project has been coming together, I kept feeling like I had Netflix going on in the background and it was somebody's fiction. And that was so weird and messed up for me. And I'm still processing it, and I'm not even really sure how to talk about it, because I don't want it to sound like, oh, it wasn't really real, haha, flimsy kind of, I listen to things and no big. No, I've been through these layers of awareness of terrible things going on that other people are just blocked off and won't communicate about. And that's massive numbers of people being harmed, and massive numbers of people being in clenched denial. And while that's going on, the entire landscape is changing, and we have been working so intensively every moment of every day. We don't remember what we're doing from moment to moment basis, except for what we need to remember in order to continue doing those tasks. And we look back on, I don't know how long you and I have been part of this whole project at this point, because every moment of every day has been like this. But when you can look back on it and see that you documented so much more securely than it is anywhere else, I guess, and that it's not just you or me who is seeing something coming to fruition from all of that unremembered work.
Right.
But it's also the whole world around us is emergent with people who have been doing that kind of work. Dude,
it's like a quickening. It's a quickening. The pandemic has turned up the heat, and people are kind of paying more attention. My concern is that, there's this desire to quote unquote go back to normal. Everybody keeps saying things will go back to normal, and I'm like, I sure hope not.
That sounds like some hard-won denial to me.
and A, it won't, but B, it's like, normal was already producing so much suffering and so many deaths, and those deaths have been ramped up. I'm not saying, oh, this is a good thing, because now it's like, no, this is terrible.
Normal wasn't normal. That's
normal
what Douglas
was not normal.
talks about too. Douglas Rushkoff is talking about how we have this veneer of what we thought all our lives were.
Yep.
And the thin veneer, many of us for a very long time mistook for real or normal, and we defended it.
Yep.
And a lot of people are still defending it, but it wasn't it wasn't real. It was propped up with these fake cardboard sets. And
And people's lives and suffering. And people's lives, it was propped up with people's deaths and lives and suffering. Yep.
We can get a lot more graphic than that. Yeah.
Yep. So with that, can I share a conversation? I was up late, which I had not intended to do, because my dad called me at 10 o'clock last night, which is very unusual for him. So if I may share some of the things that we were on the phone for 2.5 hours.
You may absolutely share. I look forward all the time to getting to talk to you, and it's challenging. It has been challenging for us to do. And look, we made a radio.
We made a radio. You made a radio, and some of us came in and said, "This is a good idea. How can we support
This radio was not possible without all of the people who have been part of the radio, and a lot of them we can't name their names.
No, we can't. And
So
they're still
I want to say I made a radio, and I have been walking around a little saying I made a radio because, I mean, this Frankensteinian equipment here took a lot of effort and a lot of dying and
Yeah.
convulsing while trying to put
Yes.
devices together. But it is a lot of people who themselves, in whatever small or larger way, made a radio. So if I ever say I made a radio, please, everyone else who has been involved with this, say at least to yourselves, I made a radio.
Well, I'd like to say
without everybody.
I can say I'm glad I got to get on this radio train. I feel very honored to have been a part of it and to continue to be a part of it as I am able, because life keeps sort of pulling me in different directions. But I'm not going away. I warned early on that sometimes I get involved with things and then I drop them entirely. I committed then, and I'm still committed to, no matter what gets thrown my way, to keep trying, to keep at it, to keep fulfilling that commitment as I can.
I think that
life keeps throwing a lot of things.
Life does sometimes things
get thrown.
Everybody from where they're at, I think what we are seeing more rapidly now is we're seeing that from where each person is at, there are resources that can connect that person to broadcast and publishing mechanisms that allow them to reach out and connect to real community, whatever that is for them, in a way that was never possible before, and most people still don't know anything about. It's accessible even for a huge number of people who have no idea that they could be speaking with large groups of people that really feel the way they feel, or that they could create income streams based on doing something that just really matters to them.
Yes.
The information about how to use tool sets like that has been so much more restricted than I understood. I did not understand how restricted that information was. And so I thought I was privileged before. and then I found out how restricted what I had been. I had felt like I was learning and thriving in public environments that were accessible to a huge number of people, and it was not what I thought it was. So it's so important for there to be some knowledge base of resources that connect people to media tool sets and advocacy tool sets and ways of communicating more effectively with one another, but also with larger organizations, with media organizations, with these greater media bodies that we all rely on in order to know ourselves and our communities. And so if some of us are brutally missing from representation in those greater media bodies, terrible things can be going on, and we have no idea that that's happening. So even when you are only able to be on Facebook, your intuitive public radio is broadcasting. You're sharing stuff where it's easiest for your brain to share stuff.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the more people who are aware of how this kind of media infrastructure works and how we can be disability aids for one another by choosing to help one another as a regular everyday kind of thing, that matters to us enough to be one another's disability aids and quit disabling one another for real. If we do that, then if you need to stay on Facebook, or if you need to put something in a completely different format in order to give your brain a break, in order to do what you need to do, you and any other person, we can help one another make sure that broadcasts get amplified by being in community with one another in certain ways. And I'm seeing all of these amazing people and groups and video chats and digital gatherings, and a lot of people are using the digital conference methodology. I spent so much time developing a career that included info products and digital learning resources, and suddenly there's this massive renaissance of people discovering and starting to use those things. So the IPR question is, how do we get them most effectively to the people who are least likely to ever encounter them? And that we can take a systemic approach with that accomplishes a lot in a short amount of time. And a lot of people have no idea about that. That was a good, nourishing ramble.
It was a
That
good
felt
one.
good. How are you on time?
I'm still working on my second cup of coffee, so we're good.
Do you want to share any thoughts from the general West Coast US?
Well,
that
I
have been
do
on
want
your
to share. I do want to share the conversation we were talking about, life going back to normal, quote unquote, how people want things to go back to normal. And I had this conversation with my dad last night, who called me very late, and albeit very drunk, because that's what he does at night to self-medicate himself to the world, and the fact that uh, he has to be the big man who makes the money, who supports the things, and he was raised that way. And I'm very aware of uh, his drinking as a feature of coping that allows him in a way to keep going. Some people, their lives get devastated by drinking. My dad, it's a temporary, and albeit not as supportive as it could be, but it's how he's very sensitive, but he has to be the big man who's not sensitive and gets things done and tells people what to do, because he's a boss and an owner of his own business. So he can be a bit of a steamroller. He has been. When I go back to the way things were before a pandemic, and before his wife, my stepmother, got cancer and now is going through chemo and radiation, and had breast cancer and had a mastectomy. So there's been some major changes for my dad. Life is normal is no longer normal. And in the past, he's been very, he once upon a time accused me of lying to Social Security, that I wasn't actually sick, that I was working, I was just lazy and working the system. So very devastating stuff for me over the years, of how he saw my predicament, my situation. And I think a lot of us who have invisible disabilities deal with that with the people around us. They don't believe us, they abandon us, they tell us how we should be doing things. They see us as lazy, they see us as lying. It's difficult, and that's a pretty common experience for all of us who've had some kind of life-changing, disabling, invisible illness. So, for many years, that made me quite suicidal. That made me quite depressed, because he wasn't the only one. It was everybody in my world. And he's gradually come on board. He's met with my doctor. He's has stepped up a lot more. So now we have a pandemic and forced to stay at home. And now he has a wife who's very sick, very acute illness and dealing with cancer. And normally when we're on the phone, my dad is ready to get off the phone. Like we have a maybe 20-minute conversation. And he's like, okay, gotta go, kiddo. Last night, he wouldn't let me off the phone for 2.5 hours. I really needed to go to sleep, but I was also like, well, my dad doesn't do this, so I'm going to stay here. And I know he's not going to remember this conversation today, and that's okay. When he's sober, he won't remember it, but I know it's in his brain now. He was able to acknowledge my journey. He was able to acknowledge what I have. He's like, with everything that's going on, he's like, I really want to say to you, I get it now. And then including his own getting older, he's almost 70, but he's still working. But his body is getting older. And of course he drinks, so his body is not as vibrant and strong as it used to be. And the things that he took for granted, his ability, all the things he ever took for granted, between his sick wife, his own aging, and a pandemic, has made him wake up to a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And he really acknowledged all of it on the phone last. I'm still integrating everything that he said. I'm still, there's a part of me that says I don't quite trust it yet, because I've been so hurt by his denial of my own situation and browbeating and insinuating that I'm lazy and that I'm lying and all this other stuff. And he has just done a complete 180 and laid it all out last night. So my whole point of bringing that up was about how we were talking about people wanting to go back to normal. And I'm hoping more people can be like my dad. I hope they don't have to drink to do it, but that the recognition, the seeing of not just their own lives, because, the normal was they had to sort of ignore houseless people, disabled people, they would ignore race. They would ignore things like redlining and food deserts and all these things, of all the ways that the suffering of people propped up what was normal. And now all of those things are kind of like, it's this quickening. Everybody is seeing it more. And I pray all the time that this pandemic helps wake people up to, we can't go back to normal. There were already millions of deaths in normal and preventable deaths.
We are making normal.
It's time for a new normal.
Yeah.
It's time for a new normal.
Now
a community normal, a connected normal. And it's easier to connect now with people. Everybody is forced to stay at home like we have been for years. And they're forced to do what we're doing now, the tools that we've been putting together to be able to connect. And everybody's forced to use those tools now. You can't just go to work, or you can't just go to the doctor. You have to get on Zoom to talk to your doctor or your therapist, or anyway, which segues into if you have thoughts about my little ramble first.
Oh, I love your ramble. This is happening to so many people now, and the grace with which they are able to confront what has been going on for a long time, it seems to have a lot to do with whether they have people in their lives who are able to offer some kind of stabilizing reference point that is safe for them to connect to. Right. And many of us have experienced that as a lost art in the world, where we thought people knew how to do that. And a lot of people say they knew how to do that.
Yeah.
We could find it when we all really, really needed it. It's like, what on Earth. And what is happening now, though, is that so many people who have been surviving their own terrible circumstances are finding expression points for projects that have been going on a long time while everybody's been dying. But then you notice this person say, I recovered from a life-threatening health condition, I was severely ill, or I had a terrible toxic injury it didn't look like I was going to come back from, or all the people with the rare stuff.
Right.
What does everybody call? Everybody calls it rare stuff. But when you look at the heterogeneous presentation of all of these different, really overlapping conditions,
yes, very much so.
The rare stuff. I don't even know what to say. I'm just laughing now, and
I know, right?
It's not a good habit to just start laughing and not. But
it's a cynical laughter.
Stop myself from doing under current traumatic circumstances.
Right.
Anyway, it's not rare. It's just we've been classifying things in the mainstream of the culture. Whatever. I mean, those are some words, I guess. In the mainstream of the culture, we've been classifying things in such a way as to believe that there are a zillion specific specialist categorizations and called them rare.
Right.
Except they're being caused by the same larger group and context, the poisoned environment.
Yes.
The unbalanced environment, and the environment with psychosocial trauma everywhere in it.
And now everybody's experiencing it. Even if it's not making them physically ill yet, they are forced to stay at home in it.
I'm able to watch some of these like mainstreamy media streams that I was not able to watch before because they weren't talking about us or this,
right.
And it was horrifying, and I couldn't bear it because I believe that they are good people, that generally there are really good people making mainstream media, and how is it that they still fail to recognize some of this stuff? And it's really shocking. And then all of a sudden, they were being they had to cover topics they I'm sure personally in their lives really wanted to cover topics that are very close to my heart. And so the coronavirus situation is a really interesting change agent of the landscape. The landscape is it's so completely different and so quickly.
Yep.
And if you're a person who has been writhing and screaming for days on end and being tortured to death, and something like this happens, you feel like you've been given a lot of gifts in some circumstances.
In some really weird, twisted ways.
But wow, there are gifts. There are a lot of gifts.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. It's all pretty wild. And there's still a lot of change to happen, especially at the top, when it comes to politicians. And I find it really funny, all along they've been saying, oh, we have to protect our most vulnerable. We're staying at home to protect our most vulnerable. And it was like, oh, suddenly my life matters to you?
They heard enough from where they needed to hear from. And it built up, and in their consciousness, they were able to verbalize it because enough people had offered it to them. It's really amazing how impossible it has been for certain people to reach people on other stratas of society or something like that, because many of those people who are unreachable by survivors of severity, they feel like they are very reachable. They feel like there's no big problem. They don't understand that there are people being created as a consequence of the way our culture has acculturated, that cannot, we
Yes.
have not been able to, generally cannot, because of severe neurological injury, because of many other kinds of severe disabilities, can't do something that somebody would consider basic,
Right.
because it's just so usual for them. And all of the tech companies and media companies build their tool sets to what is expected from, we would say, Evan would say disableist standpoint, and I
Yeah.
would usually say ableist standpoint, because we have different meanings, different angles.
I like that though, disableist. I like
I,
that.
I appreciate it a lot. I
Yeah.
appreciate the subtleties of talking about that. But when I didn't know, I didn't I didn't know. And my dad has been severely disabled for enough of my life
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That I didn't know while I was being a professional in the use of many of those tool sets. It seemed blatant to me that they would be extended to people who needed them but couldn't reach them.
Right.
And that was borne up by, if I was not able to reach them and I asked to be able to reach them, a lot of the time I got a yes. And I didn't understand then, undergoing my super toxic black mold neurological damage that I didn't know about at the time, is that the reason that I mean, not just for that reason, but there are so many people who don't realize something like this, who don't realize that the reason you're getting a yes, or the reason you're succeeding, or the reason things are going well for you, is not necessarily because of the things you think you are doing right.
Right.
It is very possibly because of a whole lot of embedded privilege that you have, that you're unaware of, or maybe the people around you are really stacked against you ever recognizing or admitting that thing. So it would never be safe for you to bring something like that up. So it would make you feel unsafe, and you'd be like, I want to steer away from that idea. But in the meantime, the idea you're steering away from involves people who could be helping everybody solve problems in amazing ways, who are instead being killed.
Yep.
Just like in the goriest apocalypse movies.
Yep.
And we're not even just talking about war.
Mm-mm.
We're talking about
Normal.
unrecognized fraud and mismanagement and insufficient research done in policymaking and the regulation of environmental contaminants, which, well, that was a long sentence. I should rest my face.
Oh.
How long have we been doing this? This is going quite well, and the echo went away.
Does it say? It doesn't let us know how long we've been on. I have no idea.
I thought it did.
It doesn't on my side. Oh, that's private
doesn't
chat.
on mine either. It must have been Zoom that does that. StreamYard doesn't do that.
I dropped that link for Twitter in our private chat. I just noticed there's a private chat versus live comments.
Oh, yeah. I think if you put it in live comments, it may get piped to YouTube, possibly, but I haven't figured out how that works yet.
You know what? Live comments won't even pop up for me. Maybe I have to be signed in somehow, and I didn't really sign in. I just came and joined via the link.
You and I started talking just a minute or so after 1 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay. So a little bit after. We've been on about 40 minutes.
Wow. I'm going to go and do food tasks soon, although I don't need to go right this moment. This is all working better and better. I don't want to be shocked at what we've accomplished, but I have been feeling that way because to try and remember how we accomplished it is trying to access memories of terrible physical ongoing trauma.
Right.
And if I get a really big oigevalt when I try to just say, what do you mean we made a radio? Because we made a radio.
We made a radio.
Wow, we have archives and knowledge bases and community projects and lists, very helpful lists. We have so many broadcasts that have never made it to air, but have timestamps on them and are collected. We can go into any of these time periods where, for instance, I was a terrorized refugee from what I thought were safe communities.
Right.
All that stuff is broadcasts she was trying to make when she supposedly had access to those tool sets. But because of what happened in those communities and in most of the communities I'll just keep talking for a minute.
I'm on the radio. I'm live on. Thank you.
Oh gosh, sorry. They just told somebody we're on the radio. Amy, they, them. I've been pronouncing people a bit with my brain fatigue. I don't know where I was. Oh, right. So it's not just her. It's not just that person that I'm talking about who was me in Texas, who was me in other places. It's everybody who has connected to this set of projects with their own knowledge base in progress, their own broadcasts they want to make that are somewhere in development. And all of the people whose desire is for those broadcasts to be public so that they can represent themselves as part of a community that cares for them and would stand up for their right to just live peaceably. Those broadcasts can make it to air if any of those people want them to, and some of them, including me and previous me's, certainly do. But to realize how much content we have, and I don't know exactly what it means to have this equipment set up this way, but it's amazing that it's working because it's a little bit different every single time, but I am getting better at it. And Evan and I talked about being the person in the apocalypse who is the person who keeps the tech working, who has a smallish part in many apocalypse movies and is surrounded by old servers duct taped together and wires and doodads.
And they're the previously unappreciated sort of nerdy person in the basement or something. And yeah.
I have had such a fondness for that person, and now I'm that person. And a lot of us have had to become that person because you got to keep the tech working in a way that the companies that make the tech don't recognize people are having to do.
True.
I don't know. I don't know where we were. I actually thought that there was something else you were going to say, and then you asked me what I thought, and I may not have stopped talking since then.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember what I was going to say.
Sorry about that.
No sorry needed. I just realized I was about to ramble on to something else, and I was like, well, let's integrate all the things I just said first. And there's a lot to talk about, and I appreciate you continuing to hold this radio space. And I will keep. I would like to have more of these. This has been a really good conversation, and I would like to have more of them as it goes on.
My neurological functions being restored bit by bit. The more I use a lot of these are media tools that it was high priority in my life to be accustomed to because it was how I would make various kinds of income streams, is being familiar with broadcasting and publishing and media tools and community resource structures and stuff. And because of the way my particular terrible unrolling apocalypse went, I was neurologically injured in an extreme way, ongoing, at the same time as the media sets that were most of my brain neurons about communicating, about being a professional, about showing up in groups of people in public, about being acceptable to other people. That was taken away, and it was replaced by being programmed to be vulnerable to sex traffickers.
Right.
And while being neurologically poisoned by environmental contaminants and biotoxins,
one cannot necessarily regrow the neurons other people think one should be able to regrow, especially while one is being harmed and everybody kind of looks away from it. So the brain that has needed a greater community or media body that would recognize allowing its vulnerable community members to go through such extreme suffering, that brain deprived of mirror neuron activity is now getting a ton of mirror neuron activity, because even though I can't remember what I'm doing from split second to split second, most of the time I keep catching glimpses of us having content streams that look to me like it's supposed to look if we have a greater level of support from a larger community. And it's not just that we know people are there, but we can't reach them. It's that we know people are there and we can find out what's going on and we can talk to them and we have a means of energetic diplomacy with them and with other beings on or off planet. The ability to see ourselves as a greater media body and know that we will be prioritized is a huge deal. And I don't know if or who, if someone else is doing something quite like this, but I can't wait to find them and support them, whoever they are, if they are, because so many people, so many projects are emerging. Healthjusticecommons.org. I don't know if you saw that and sent it to me, or if, no, you sent the other thing to me. So I don't know how I found a lot of these things, but healthjusticecommons.org.
I've definitely looked at it, so it came up in my...
Anyway, it's just an example of a whole lot of
gosh,
resources.
I haven't been here in a while, but yes.
We went to a meeting, a few members of Bridge Family Group and I went to the Health Justice Commons. I can't remember exactly what the name was. It was a solidarity meeting for radical healthcare workers and frontline.
Yes.
First of all, the way they're putting things together, I think key organizers are on the West Coast in California. I think I remember that correctly.
Oakland, I think in Oakland, is that right?
I think, yes, Oakland, San Francisco. I appreciated that at the beginning of the meeting, they encouraged everyone, if they could, to answer their locations in the native territories. And I'm not as familiar with the native territories there, so I don't remember where it was, but I'm pretty sure it was that general area of California. That there were several key people involved with Health Justice Commons. This is an IPR West conversation, so I want to remember that.
Right. I haven't been here for a while, but I'm looking and I went to Who We Are and there Mordecai. I'm like, oh right, I remember. I wasn't the one. I got this from you. You didn't get these from me. But he's wonderful.
It's really, really amazing finally having visual and experiential evidence of all the people and efforts we knew must be there,
yes,
but we couldn't reach.
Yes.
That is really something. I need to go to food tasks. I don't want to, but
I also need to go. I have a full day of helping my friend get her food situation after massive surgery. And I've got other friends who you also are aware of who are helping with that task. So I have to go and clean her refrigerator, which is scary. So I need to go clean the refrigerator so that the food thing, there's food in there that's usable and there's stuff on the pantry that's usable. And that has to go to people who are ready to prepare the food. So I got to go and clean and pull that food together and give it to those who are going to do the preparation. So she has food and she can't use her hands really. She can't stir a pot. She can barely open the microwave to stick things in there after opening a can. So this is a way of making some fresh food for her that she can just open a container and eat.
I hope everything goes really well.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been. It's a little rough for her right now. She's got her dogs. Her dogs were being cared for, and the person caring for them is not a nice person and decided he didn't want to take care of the dogs anymore. So she's struggling. But there's a community. We're doing here. So that's what
More
IPR
and
West
more
is doing today. IPR West is doing what IPR is intended to do, which is to find community members to assist each other and help.
And any way that we could support her, that you find out and are permitted to report in public. IPR West check-ins.
Well, maybe I can get her on sometime. I've told her much about
She's
this.
very welcome. She's very, very welcome. I probably don't say it enough. I encourage everyone to please invite people that you feel whose voices would be very resonant. Please introduce us so that we can organize a live stream. I think we're going to be live streaming almost every day, unless I'm too sick to live stream. But I mean, even if I'm too sick to live stream, I can set it up and get somebody on the line and let them talk.
Yeah.
And I can go take care of myself for 15 minutes and then come back and work some toggles. I know how to work some toggles. So please feel free to invite her.
Well, help me visualize that I can get her phone is too full. She can't afford to get a new phone. So one of the things I'm doing today is seeing if I can get all the stuff off her phone through my laptop into a flash drive.
Do we want to say your PayPal URL in case people want to send, since you won't name your friend because she hasn't been asked about her.
I haven't asked her yet. Exactly.
But if someone wants to support her through you, could they leave you a PayPal with a note?
So what I'm going to do is, because I'm not officially logged into this website right now, and I haven't even created an account yet. I'm not logged in, so I can only put messages into the private chat, but you're probably logged in and can copy and paste into the live comments, because I can do that.
I can do that.
Let me grab my...
Or wherever it goes anyway, we'll find out.
PayPal.
I think it goes to YouTube. I don't think it goes to Facebook, but
it's okay if it does. I'm pretty much, unless I specify, I am...
do you still have Intuitive Ink?
I still have Intuitive Ink, so I'm making sure that that comes up right. It says, sorry, no, that doesn't work. Why not?
Okay.
So I may have to give me just a minute. Let me sign into my PayPal, and then I can probably grab the link that way. And I hope it's okay that I still have Intuitive Ink. If I need to change that, I will. But
you need to have it. It's important that you have it.
Well, that PayPal. So others have given me money. Other disabled people recently gave me money to help my friend. We're all local. We've all met on the internet through Facebook. And other people have given me money through Intuitive Ink to help her buy things she needed for her home. So,
so it was working then.
It's doing its job. It is doing its job.
No, I went to Intuitive Ink. It didn't work.
Yeah, I know.
PayPal.me/Intuitive Ink isn't working right now.
I know, and I don't know why.
Okay, well, we will add to whatever next day's broadcast. Whatever you can in support of her once you find out what that is. Sorry, I took us on a troubleshooting.
No, I found it because it's not Intuitive Ink. It's just my name. Maybe I could change that handle at some point, but it's just my name. So
well, I can paste it, or it's all good. I do need to go get to food tasks, so I want to maintain my composure.
Okay, I understand. There's my.
Oh, what a great threat! Wow.
Let me just put this in here, and then we will go, because I am the same. I gotta go /
Oh, it's wonderful to have it. Thank you for figuring it out. Okay, I got this here. So I should use this paypal.me/Amy Lilith?
Yes.
All right, I will put this in the comments. I think it's in the comments on YouTube, intuitive.pub/TV/Max, because that's where we're live right now.
Okay.
Um,
But it's only, mine says private chat, so I don't know if anybody else can see that wherever it's live.
private chat, only you and me and anyone using StreamYard as a guest can see the private chat. So anybody out there listening right now, literally.
Oh, okay. So
If
where
I
are
was
you?
not about to, I'm going to walk away. But if somebody wants to come and just talk while I make food in the other room, I'm actually not opposed to that. It would be a good experiment. Anyone who wanted to join us, up to 6 people or 6 guests, I'm not sure, would go to intuitive.pub/text. And at the top of that page, every time we start a broadcast, we put the StreamYard link. So anyone can click on that link and show up on camera with us now, here.
Cool.
And are invited to. My brain feels so much better in this environment. I thought I was in environments that were more sharing of their airtime. I don't know what foolishness that was, but I did think it. I thought it for a while, a while ago in my life. So that's here, and that's this, and we're doing it, and I'm proud of us.
Much, much love to you, Max. Enjoy
Thank
your food. May your digestion be sweet and complete.
Thank you. Thank you for this IPR West and IPR East check-in.
Yes.
And listeners and viewers can find out more about both these portions of Intuitive Public Radio by navigating to intuitive.pub/radio/west and intuitive.pub/radio/east.
I want to point out something really funny real quick before I go.
Please do.
You see this bottle right here? It's been over my shoulder the whole time. There's a spray bottle.
Yeah.
That's my spray bottle of peroxide that now stays out all the time for spraying down groceries and grocery bags and my shoes before I come in if I've been out in the world.
A COVID era relic.
There's my part of my COVID arsenal right here.
An artifact of the apocalypse.
Oh, I'm touching my face. Oh no. All right.
Stay safe. Blessings, good fortune. I hope everything goes well, and give all our love to your friend.
I will.
Thank
All
you.
right. Blessings, Max. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.